We are so thrilled to be partnering with Hinge. Hinge is the dating app designed to be deleted. As you all know, I'm a huge Hinge advocate as I met my partner of almost 3 years on the app. Even before meeting him, Hinge was always my go-to app because I met more relationship-minded people here and had some great dates. Clearly, I haven't been on the app for a little while, but I re-downloaded it to check out some of the new features. One that stood out to me was the voice prompt, my best friend's take on why you should date me, where your friend can hype you up. Not only does this make the profile creation less daunting, but it's not always easy to see your own green flags. So to test it out, I asked Yue some fun prompts to get her take on what I could put if I was dating again. So the first one, how long have we known each other? What was your first impression of me and how has that changed?
Julie and I have known each other for almost 10 years. My first impression of Julie was that she's very social, but I've learned that she has a lot more depth to her beyond the social butterfly that she is.
My next prompt, what do you think are my green flags?
I would say she's deeply loyal. She believes in love, curious mindset, and she is fearlessly ambitious.
And then last but not least, what kind of friend am I?
Julie is the kind of friend who will always have your back, no matter what.
Damn, that feels nice to hear. So download Hinge and try voice prompts today. Then find someone worth deleting the app for. If you've been listening to the pod, you know I'm marking my calendar for the big sale from Last Bottle Wines, one of our wonderful sponsors. If you don't already know, they're a Napa-based online wine shop that offers 30 to 70% off retail. And the best part, there's no subscriptions, no fees, and no minimum purchase, just a daily email with really great wine. And as I mentioned, they're having a massive sale. Their marathon sale is coming up on March 28th and 29th. They flip that one wine per day rule on its head and instead offer back-to-back, two-back deals. That means wines are only up on the site for a couple minutes at a time. We got a preview order with the mini marathon package of some of their favorites, and I'm telling you, it's a sale you want to get in on. And the best part is we're offering Dateable listeners 10% off your first order with code DATEABLE. Sign up at lastbottlewines.com and use the code DATEABLE and find out why Last Bottle is the most fun way to discover and buy amazing wine. Hey everyone, Julie here. We are trying something new this week, so wanted to welcome everyone to the first installment of what we're calling Quickies. So we're trying out this new format that we'll start doing every other week and we'll alternate between the two of us. And the idea here is that we can really just devote a very short time block, really zeroing in on one idea or theory or revelation or something that has crossed our mind and let you kind of take it all in and apply it to your own love life. So before I go into the quickie this week, I do want to give a shout out actually to David, who left this review for us, which kind of sparked this idea. He wrote in his review about how he really enjoyed Quickies, aka the brunch talks. And Yue and I were both like, oh wait, maybe there's something here that we can do that's actually a real quickie. So David, thank you for the inspo. Always appreciate the review. So if you haven't left one yet, I'll do a shameless plug to add one before I get into it. Okay, so the topic that I want to go into for this week's quickie, I brought this up in an Instagram post a couple weeks ago, but I felt like it deserved a little more airtime on the podcast. And because I feel so strongly about this and how it got in the way of my love life for so long, and I was unable to meet someone because I was stuck in this cycle. So here it is. I have a theory that most people aren't actually single. And I'm not talking about the married people that are posing on dating apps, but people that actually are trying to date, that are actively on apps or going out in the wild to meet people. They say they're single, and yes, they're not in a defined relationship, but I don't believe that they're 100% single and ready to go. What's interesting about relationship status, it's so binary, right? You're either single or you're in a relationship or you're married. I think there's actually more of a spectrum, what I like to call the single scale. So on the far left, we have, you're single AF, no prospects, you're out there just trying to meet someone, but no one's really in your orbit at the moment. Then you've got the far right side. We have, you are married, you are off the market, you're not looking to date. And this is obviously excluding people that are poly in any ways, but if you're in a monogamous relationship, you're off the market, you're fully taken. that's the extremes, the binary. Where I think a lot of people that claim they're single fall is actually more in the middle to the bottom, somewhere in that spectrum. And that's because we have so many undefined relationships, the situationships, the friends with benefits. Maybe you've been going on a few dates with someone and it's just undefined. It's not necessarily like a situationship, but they're still occupying a lot of your headspace and your mental bandwidth. So I think that because that's such the norm in today's world, when you meet someone, you don't really know what's going on with them. Like, I know there's so many situations. I remember when I was dating, like when I met people, I was like, oh, it's like you think it's a fresh slate and, they're here to meet you and you don't really think about like who else is going on, like what other dates have they been on, who else is in their background. And like for me, when I dated and I still had like that lingering friends with benefits or the person I just couldn't get over, it was actually near impossible to form a new connection because I wasn't fully single. Yes, I was single in theory. I wasn't technically like doing anything wrong because I didn't owe anything to these people, but it wasn't fair to the new people I was meeting because I wasn't going in there with a full heart and an open heart. And we get this question a lot too, like, what's the big deal about having a friends with benefits on the side? Like they're fulfilling my sexual needs, and totally hear that out. But I do think like people can feel when there's someone else in the picture. And I also think you're less present because maybe there's less motivation too to go on dates because that person is there. There's someone you could call if you get lonely or you feel whatever need you're feeling. It's just not as like blank of a slate. And I got a really interesting comment on the Instagram post too from someone that said, like, according to the Pew Research in 2022, 63% of men and 34% of women between 18 and 30 are single. And then my reply back was, well, Pew doesn't actually account for this gray area. Like they're more, again, talking on the extremes. And single also like is defined differently in different places too. Sometimes single just means not married, and other times it means like not in a relationship. So it's sometimes hard to fully understand this data and where it's coming from without, of course, seeing the sources. But he was like, I totally agree with you. But he brought back this other point of actually, I think what you're saying might be contributing to some of the challenges where people, how they consider themselves. So like, for example, this said there were more single men than single women. And his thought was, because of the single scale and the way like men have been socialized, maybe when they're in these undefined situationships, they actually think like, I'm still single. Where women, if they meet someone, even if it's not a full-fledged relationship, they're like, it is a relationship. I'm off the market. I definitely see some truth to that. Like, I know for me, like I fully got in my head, like I actually am off the market. Like I'm not open to someone when I had like the on again, off again relationship where it wasn't like, we are doing this, but it was taking me away from the pool in general. So anyways, this quickie, I think the takeaway here is one, we don't know where people are really entering the date. We don't know how single they truly are. So understanding this, and of course, you're not going to come out and be like, are you in a situationship? But you can kind of tell and feel it, and obviously how much energy they're putting forward. And oftentimes too, if like you're not getting that, it feels very personal, but we also don't know what's going on for them. Like they might not be extending energy for you because they have someone else in the background, or maybe they've progressed a little further with another date. It's not always so personal. So that's first and foremost. And then second, like I really do believe if you are serious about finding a relationship that is that reciprocal, committed partnership you really want, clearing out all of these like undefined relationships that are kind of lingering, I personally believe that this helps so much. And, everyone has to do what's right for them. I'm never going to say like, cut that friends with benefits off, but you need to ask yourself, like, is this actually serving me for the long run? It might be that short-term fix because it feels good to be with that person, but is this really getting me to where I want to be? From personal experience, the times where I was 100% single, far left on that single scale, that's when I was open and invited people that were long-term prospects in. So food for thought. Hope you can ponder this and think about this a little more. And also, where do you fall on the single scale? Mapping that out and understanding where you actually are will help with your dating life as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this new quickie that we're doing. And, if you did, please leave us a rating and review, and always goes a long way. We'll keep doing these. ways and test them out. And, you can always follow us on @Dateable Podcast on Instagram. And of course, subscribe to the show to get our long form content too. Okay. Well, we'll see you for brunch talk on Sunday as well. Bye.